Hey there, James here with Penner Trailer Sales. I want to take a couple minutes to talk about trailer maintenance. So as an example, I'm actually going to be using a trailer of mine. I've had this trailer 3 going on 4 years now. And so for maintenance items, one of the most readily apparent items to pay attention to is your lighting. You have your marker lights, which you're going to have marker lights on the sides, and then also your signal lights on the rear. If you don't use your trailer a lot at nighttime, it's easy for a signal light or marker light to go out and not know it. So it's good to every now and again just walk around. Ideally every time you hook up to your trailer you should, but walk around your trailer, make sure all your lights are good. Also, if you have a short in your trailer that's causing your tow vehicle to blow a fuse, you want to identify that as well, because if a tow vehicle blows a fuse, then when it tows another trailer, that same circuit won't be working on that trailer as well, because the tow vehicle has a fuse blown. If you do have a short that's blowing fuses in the tow vehicle, you want to get that remedied as quickly as possible, because when that tow vehicle tows another trailer, that trailer is not going to have a functioning light circuit for that fuse as well. Or this trailer will blow fuses in other tow vehicles, so that one can kind of compound, and you want to get on top of that as soon as possible. While we're talking about brakes, another thing to pay attention to is your breakaway system. These would be required by law. If you were inspected by a state trooper or what have you, they would want to see a functioning breakaway system. This switch up here is the breakaway switch. In order to test it, you would pull it out. That's the same function that would happen if the trailer was separated from the tow vehicle, and then this switch would close and the battery, the breakaway battery, would energize the brakes. In order to test that, you'd want to jack a tire off the ground, and with this pulled, spin the tire to see if the brakes are being energized or not. If they're not, the most common problem is the breakaway battery is dead. They oftentimes don't have a charge wire connected, so over a time of a couple of years, what have you, that battery wears out. They're pretty inexpensive to replace. Swap another battery out and that'll give you the power that you need. Could be a wiring issue as well, but it's very commonly the battery's gone dead. Here at the wheels and tires is where the rubber literally meets the road for your trailer and its performance. So there's a lot of here to be paying attention to. We'll start with the tire. You can tell a lot by the health of a trailer and the suspension sometimes, by the tread wear, or actually maybe I should say the health of the axle, whether it's bent or out of alignment, by the tread wear. Also, I've seen sometimes with these radial tires, you'll get a torn cord and the tire will go out of round and the tire will actually look lumpy. And when that happens, the tire is soon to blow. If it's just sitting there, it's not going to blow while you watch it. But if you load the tire and are towing it with a torn cord, that's when you're going to have a blowout. So I've been able to catch blowouts myself, prevent blowouts multiple times by just every time I walk past them, I'm kind of throwing an eyeball on the tire carcass to see the health of the carcass. Of course, lug nuts, hot topic there. You want your lug nuts to be tight. If you've had a wheel removed, changed, tire changed, whatever, especially the little while 50 and 100, 150 miles afterwards, you want to keep an eye on these. Technically, you should check the torque. An old timer's trick, if you see a rust mark, a rust stain start to come out, it'll be like a streak coming from a lug nut, that indicates it's come loose. There shouldn't be any rust coming up from underneath of there. So if you have one or two that are doing that, you'll want to check your torque there for sure. But you can save yourself a lot of disaster if you make sure your lug nuts stay tight. And then also another one, and this is a huge one, but bearing adjustment. If you've been around trailers much, you've seen a hub come off or a bearing just disintegrate, bearing spins, it heats up, might even destroy your axle because it'll wear your spindle and so on. And worst case scenario, like I mentioned, the hub can even come off from a bearing failure. And as near as I understand with bearings, the bearing adjustment is the biggest key for that not to happen, to prevent that from happening. And it's really easy to check a bearing adjustment. Actually, on a trailer like this, you can walk up to it and just give it a shake. And you can't see any movement, but when I do that, I can feel and hear a little bit of play in the bearing. And that's healthy. A little bit of movement is okay. You actually don't want them too tight. It's hard actually to get them perfectly set to where they're not too tight and have zero play. a little bit of play is actually good. But if that play, if the bearing wears and that play becomes too great, why then, without getting into the science too much, but the bearing, the rollers can separate and then escape actually the bearing cage, and things go downhill from there. Then you have a bearing failure, and pretty soon you will have smoke billowing, your wheel may even come off, and so on. But if you keep tabs on your bearing adjustment, and if it's starting to get a little loose, you pop this cap off, tighten the spindle nut just a turn, a notch or two, you can prevent that from happening. Also with lubrication, these are grease hubs. It's easy to pop this rubber cap off here. Just check the grease in there, make sure it doesn't have moisture, make sure it has enough grease, and you can also add grease through here. There'll be a grease cert to where you can add grease as well. So kind of a lot going on here. The most common, the grease. I use my trailer multiple times a week. I probably check my grease in my hubs every 6 months or so. It's really hard to put a set maintenance interval on things like this because it depends a lot with use, and it's hard to track mileage on a trailer because they don't usually have odometers. So it's really just kind of by feel, kind of gut feeling, whether you need to, depending on your use, whether you should be checking that or not. But you can save yourself a lot of trouble and expense and hassle by just keeping tabs on all of that. Another critical area is the hitch area, the coupler and the safety chains. You want to keep an eye on those. This trailer is equipped with a Demco coupler. It doesn't have a lot of moving parts, so it's not too hard to keep track of, but they still can wear out over time. These here, it has 2 bolts. You want to keep an eye on these bolts over time, make sure they don't wear. If in any moving parts in your coupler, you want to make sure it's still locking securely on the ball for obvious reasons. And then also your safety chains, they can be overlooked, get drug on the road and worn thin. Again, just pay attention to that. And then the frame of your trailer as well, doesn't hurt. Every so often, I like to slide underneath my trailer, just check the welds, the cross members going across and so on and so forth, the suspension mounts to the frame, just make sure something's not cracked. And in particular, like this trailer here, I've had it longer than 3 years, so it's out of warranty, but 3 years is a really common warranty time frame. MaxD actually now offers a 5-year warranty. So in that time frame window, if you have any cracks develop on your frame, if you can catch those, then you can get the manufacturer to cover the repair for those as well. And of course, worst case scenario, you don't want a crack to develop and fully form and something fall off or your trailer break while using it either. So that's fairly comprehensive. Just some of the main components to look for in your trailer. Hopefully that's been helpful. If you've got a trailer, some of the things for you to be able to watch for as well. A well-maintained trailer can serve you very well and be very dependable. Trailers see a lot of use and often sometimes abuse. But with some TLC, they can perform consistently for quite a while, for quite a few years. If you have any issues with your trailer, you'd like to talk to us about it or would like to bring your trailer to us, we can check it out for you. Give us a call, 931-361-1122.